Testing, testing, testing. JB here. Hopefully, no technical issues like I had this morning. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. April 20th, 2022. What up, Xi Jinping, however you pronounce it. Sorry if I murdered that. I'm just going to talk really quick. Don't have much to talk about. You see the chop here. Sorry. A lot of chop here since the morning. It seems like everything happened kind of before the afternoon hour, and now it's chop fest. Markets pulls back, then it bounces into the green, back into the red. Nasdaq is getting destroyed, while the small caps are actually doing kind of, on a relative basis compared to what the other market's doing. It's doing pretty well. So interesting market today. So let me first, obviously I'll talk about IBM first. Down at 130, 131 in the after hours yesterday. This morning it was like 132, opened at 133 and just took off up to 139.56. They have I think it's a 4% or 5% dividend yield. So I think it's $1.60 this past quarter. Maybe it was more than that when it was lower, less than that when it was higher. But I thought the stock, if you take a look at the chart, it hasn't crossed over 140 since June of 2013. Of course, that's not the case, because then you take the dividend out, and then back in I think it was 2017, I had 170 calls. So obviously it was over 140 since 2013. Hopefully, I was hoping today would be the day it gets over 140. Probably not. Maybe tomorrow if the market cooperates. But I already locked a lot of my calls in. I'll hold the rest. My cost base is 37 cents. The options are up 600%. We're at 208 by 221 right now. So I think if it can get over 140, it goes to 145. So that's probably what I'm going to hold for. I'll probably use 135 as a stop, or I'll close the rest out. Already riding free with profits, so not a lot of risk on that. So that's IBM. Just great story considering what the market's been doing. Today, in regards to some of these tech names, for IBM to be holding up like it is, I think that bodes well for tomorrow and the rest of the week. And they're May 20 strikes, so I got plenty of time. Avis. So I look on Twitter and FinTwit, and you see people talking about Avis. And the last time they were talking about it, it ran up to $500 it was like a short squeeze. And this is when back in November of last year, when some of the I'm trying to think exactly the date when it took off and why it did, but needless to say, it was a $175 stock, went up to $400 the same day, halted 10 times on the upside, 10 times on the downside. Everybody thought the car rental business was going the way of the dinosaur, right? Hertz, Avis, Alamo, Dollar, all those companies. There was no demand. COVID hit. They were looking to sell cars because nobody was using the cars. You'd have to raise debt. And it was just bad situation. Hertz was supposed to go bankrupt. And now they've come out of COVID, and there's a huge demand for car rentals. If you tried to book a vacation, tried to go somewhere, you could see the pricing for car rentals is through the roof. So here comes Avis, trades 1.5 times revenues, has 11% short interest, just had an upgrade this morning, and you look, and it's from Barclays. And Barclays, they raised their price target to 245 from 160, and the stock opened, I think it opened at 290. So when they upgrade the price target, it was still well below where the stock closed. So how does that make sense? Anyway, so the stock is up 35%. $35 here, 12%. Spreads are tough, so I'm not going to sit here and get calls today, but definitely a name I might look for some lottos tomorrow and Friday. Just as one of those names that I think as people start looking at it and they get some FOMO, maybe it does some more squeeze, some squeeze action, some short covering, and the stock heads up into the mid to high 300s to end the week, or maybe even next week. But the calls next week are probably not as interesting on a risk war basis. So that's CAR is the ticker. That's Avis. Intuitive Surgical, able to lock some more calls earlier this morning when the stock got up to 307 I think it was 400%. I only have a few left. Earnings after the close tomorrow, so you hate to kind of give away profits, especially when the position's up quite a bit. But now I'm kind of comfortable doing that, so I'll probably hold the calls into the earnings tomorrow after the close. Take a look at the chart, and I think 327 is the mark. So if they beat on the estimates, raise guidance, the stock's going to head into the high 320s, probably even higher than that. So that's kind of the thought process there. So my strikes, which I got at 240, 10, 15 baggers probably if that happens. So that's kind of the rationale that's going to make me hold on to those calls into earnings tomorrow. That's Intuitive Surgical. ROKU, I did a post, and you take a look at Netflix, right? So Netflix, great story. I mean, I've loved Netflix back since 2010, 2011. It was similar to, I wouldn't say similar to Tesla, but there was a lot of bearish people on Netflix stock. But before it really got into the streaming side, it went up to 200 when they started to go to the streaming. Then they decided they were going to nix their mail program with the DVDs. The stock sold off, and this is the company announced a buyback at the highs, and then went all the way down, and I think it was $50. And that was when it started to turn around. Really got things under control. They said, okay, we're going to allow, we're going to get our quick stir service, whatever it was called, back online, and then that was it. And then Netflix took off from that point. I'm not saying, that it's not a buy here or it's not going to go higher here, but I think when you take a look at what's going on with Netflix right now, there's going to be buyout rumors the next couple days, even next week, especially if it stays down here in the it was a 220. 222 or so, whether it's going to be Bill Ackman going on CNBC saying that he's added to his stake. There's going to be some catalysts going forward. But I look at Netflix, debt laden. I mean, question marks around its growth going forward, competitive concerns. And then you have a company like Roku. Roku, flush with cash, no debt, over $2 billion in cash, $16 billion market cap, growing revenues, and of course some of this has related to the COVID spike, but 80% year over year on the revenues. And you look and I'm like, this is probably the better buyout candidate than Netflix. So not saying I'm going to add any calls here until Friday. I still have the 125s, but I think it offers some upside here, especially with I would call it like a washout quarter for Netflix. So it's washing out all the other companies in the same, sympathy moves, Paramount, Disney, so on and so forth, and then I think there's opportunities, and I think Roku is probably the best of the bunch in regards to opportunities on the upside. So that's why I posted that. That's Roku. 446 on the SPY. Tesla after the close today, I posted. I think it's an 8% move. It's tough because there's so much clarity now around Tesla in regards to their deliveries. You kind of know what's going on with their shutting down, of production because of COVID. In Shanghai, that factory. So I think a lot of that stuff is already out on the table. So, I don't know how much more upside or downside risk there is with Tesla, because what other surprises can they be? Can there be out there? So I'll probably, not that I have traded Tesla in quite some time, but I'll probably just sit on the sidelines. I'm a little worried that there'll be a premium crush. You take a look, 984 here off $42. But the premiums are holding up, and you take a look at the option premiums on weeklies. And I was looking before, I said, because I'm like, maybe I'll nibble something. But you take a look, so it's 984, and the strikes 1150 and above, 1155 weekly calls and above are in the green, and the stock is down 4%. That's pretty remarkable. And then you look at the put side, and all of them are up. So 1020s are up 100%. The 975s are up 200%. So, and then even out of the monies are up thousands of percent. So you take a look at the 835 puts, they're up 1,000% today on Tesla. So tough to do any kind of risk reward trade into earnings right now. I'll probably sit on my hands and look to play that tomorrow if I do. It's not a name I've played in quite some time. What else? I'm trying Twitter. What else? Oh, expect something from Elon Musk too in regards to Twitter, right? It's 420. I mean, he did funding secured at 420 for Tesla. Here's 420. Tesla's earnings is today. I'm sure that's no coincidence. And then you have to think he's going to do something with Twitter. Either say he's selling out, and I'm sure he's not. He's not stupid, so he's going to sell out before he says. But Maybe he announced that he's going to raise his bid up to $60. And, I think it's $60. The Twitter board there's no recourse there, that they have to accept that offer, So I think that's it. Other names I'm watching, a BPT. So ex-divvy date was last Thursday. The divvy payout was today. So you see a lot of people, most people who you get your dividend payment, you go and you reinvest it in the stock. So I think some of the bounce in BPT today has to be some of the reinvestment. And then of course I think it's going over $20. So hopefully that starts to head towards that handle in the next week or two. What are some of the other names? Oh, Abbott, right? So I've been looking at Abbott since the open, and it's a pretty easy name to get bullish on. Forefront and center in regards to COVID, with the COVID tests. So that's an easy monetization for them, easy revenue stream for them. That's kind of gone, I wouldn't say to the wayside, but I think a lot of that's been factored in. So people look at it and they report monster earnings. So it sells off in the pre-market because people are like, okay, the big revenue boost is over. But then there was a lot of good things in their earnings. So you saw it reverse 15.50 in the pre-market, 16, was it 18? Was 17? I'm trying to see what it did at 9:30. 17.50 at 9:30, right at the open, and then all the way up to 124. And playable bounce. So you look at the calls. I was looking at the strikes, and we got a little dip here. All right, 10 minutes to the close. I'm going to probably get off here, but take a look. Definitely a playable opportunity. I might watch that tomorrow and possibly Friday for move up into the high 120s, possibly 130 break. That's it, folks. Hope everyone had a great day. I'll try and get on audio. I'll be on tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Rock and roll.